Hey, um, so yeah, I'm not sure about the order that you might be watching these in, but in one of the other videos, me and Cedar share a bit about change up and what that looks like and how we do it. So yeah, I thought I would just kind of update you on the change up conversations that we've been having, or that have happened with the children, and the awarenesses that they have brought themselves about what what they want on site in terms of devices and use of tech. So yeah, going back, the first agreement that we made, that quickly kind of got embedded in our culture, was to have no devices at morning meeting, and that was a bit of a spontaneous one because we didn't have a change up about it. I think someone just requested that in one of the morning meetings, and yeah, it was agreed on and quickly just became practice that that's how we do morning meetings. Yeah, and then I think the second awareness that somebody brought, which was about whether there should be a time limit on personal devices. So yeah, in that change up, we kind of had quite a lengthy discussion about kind of motivations for wanting yeah, I'm not sure if motivation is the right word actually, but yeah, I guess reasons for wanting a time limit, and they were kind of spanning from not wanting they called it, like, we really don't want the screen house, to feelings of fairness and wanting there to be wanting the environment to be controlled in terms of screens, so that there was kind of one agreement for everyone. And so we agreed to try out a 1 hour limit, which we did. I think it was probably for maybe about a month. And in terms of regulation, it was decided that everyone was responsible for themselves, so that it wouldn't be, there wouldn't be sort of like an enforcement of it, but everyone took responsibility for their own use. And I think what we found as facilitators was that, like, it just wasn't working for us, because we yeah, even though we had kind of said that everyone was responsible, we would find ourselves reminding people, or kind of going round and just checking in on how different children, how long they'd spent on it, and it kind of felt a bit like being in that position where you're sort of moaning, and yeah, a number of children were struggling to keep to the time limit because they weren't able to time themselves. A number of children did not like the time limit, wanted there to be more freedom around how they choose to spend their time. So we revisited that agreement at another change up, and yeah, that was a great change up, because we really sort of got to the essence of why they wanted there to be some sort of limit, and it was because of like a real desire to preserve the culture that we have at the greenhouse. And I think for them and for us, a lot of it came down to there being all sorts of different types of play and interactions at the greenhouse, and not wanting too much of one thing. And the reason why initially they had wanted a limit was to kind of control devices so that didn't take over. But now, seeing that wasn't working, trying to think of a different way that we can preserve the kind of play culture. And so the new proposal for that was to get rid of the get rid of the limit on personal devices, the time limit, but instead shift it towards there being play guardians. So the role of these play guardians would be to kind of gently remind people if they felt like someone was doing too much of one thing, and so in that case it would be too much of playing on a device, that they were missing out on other things. The role of the play guardian would be to kind of support them in that, and reminding, like, gentle reminders about other things that are happening at the greenhouse, and also checking in with people if they were isolating, if they were on their own. I think another thing that came up in that conversation, in that Change Up conversation, was it was like really a kind of beautiful how it was a chance for us, the facilitators, to share how we had struggled to support an agreement. So we were up for trying out the limit, and then we just shared the kind of the impact it had on us, and the children who were involved in that Change Up meeting that really heard us in that, and were wanting to create a new agreement which responded to the fact that we didn't want to kind of shift our relationship with them into being a sort of moany enforcer, and so it kind of shifted it into thinking of creative ways to make sure that the greenhouse didn't become this greenhouse, I guess. So that time agreement is what was being kind of moved onto the trying column of the mastery board, community mastery board. And then the last, not the last Change Up, but I think the final awareness that we've had so far about device use was about sharing, and how devices are shared between each other. Which was also great for children to share the impact it has on them when they feel excluded, or not able to take part because they don't have a device. So the new some agreements that came up from that were about starting to think about the spaces, like which spaces are appropriate to use to play on devices, and I think it was decided that if you wanted other people to use your device, if you're going to do that in a communal shared space, so those spaces would be the dome or the wolf cabin, that if you're going to be open to one or two people using it, then could you be open to everyone using it? And if you wanted to have a smaller group, so say if a child was really sure that they just wanted to play with two other children, or do something on their device with only a select few others, to do that in a separate space. And out of that came like a lot of rich discussion about how the feelings that we have when we're not able to take part in something, but as well as also the need to sometimes do things with one or two others, and also about trust, and that the children shared that they have different relationships with different children there, and some children they would feel comfortable lending their device to, and other children they wouldn't. So out of that we start talking about creating a device safety certificate. So that would be a certificate that if you wanted to use other people's devices, you go through to show that you'll kind of treat it respectfully, and how the others wanted to be used. So whether that would be returning it to where you found it. But yeah, so we're kind of so that was a proposal, but we haven't started the process of creating that certificate yet. So yeah, I think that's as far as I can remember. There might be more where we're at in terms of change at conversations and proposals that we're in the process of practicing and trying so far. I will stop that, and I'm going to make another video just about what I've seen on site.